Bruno Grandsard.
Grandsard.
Sorry, I'm a little dyslexic. So come on up, and the floor is yours. So each candidate will have about 5 minutes to speak, and then we'll do 5 minutes of Q&A. And Danielle will be our timer.
What should you have here? Like a
Whatever is yours, this is a little tight. Maybe it's
All right, I think I can do this.
You have to learn to walk sideways.
Sideways, got it.
I have flyers if any people haven't received them. They're here. All right. So, Alyssa, thank you very much for the invitation. Really appreciate it. My name is Bruno Grandsard. I'm running for 10th District right here. And I'd like to first talk about myself, who I am, what my policies are, and why I am running. So let me start by just introducing myself. Again, Bruno Grandsard, it's a French name. I'm a Brooklynite by choice. Been here for about 25 years. Raised my kids here, went to public schools. And of course, I'm a card-carrying member of the Food Co-op. I don't know if there are any of you. Any other Food Co-op members? No? None? Oh, there is one. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I am up to date on my shifts, so you'll be proud of me. It's a bit of a cult, you know. So I studied diplomacy in graduate school, but despite that, my entire career has been international business in Japan, the US, and Europe, where I've worked in strategy consulting and entrepreneurship and investment management, always looking at very complex issues, getting a lot of data, analyzing it, coming up with recommendations, talking to a lot of folks, sort of what Congress people are supposed to do. So, you know, my campaign message revolves around three things. One is political reform. The second point is climate. My entire career has been spent, or at least the past 50 to 20 years, has been spent working in climate change, helping startups in that space. That's what I do right now, full time. And thirdly, it's really affordability. But you know, I think probably the most important point for me to address is the elephant in the room. Why the hell am I running when there is a well-known candidate, an incumbent who is very difficult to beat with unlimited resources, and you know, it's not an easy lift to make a mark against an incumbent. So you know, I've had some friends ask me, so should we be focused on MAGA Republicans and beating Donald Trump? Why are you spending your time here? And I have a little story to tell. I'm like all of us, all Democrats. I don't know a single Democrat who's not worried about MAGA Republicans and Donald Trump. I was very worried in 2019, 2020. I spent 14 months volunteering for Joe Biden in 5 states, knocking out thousands of doors. I did that again, senatorial races in 2022 in Pennsylvania and Georgia. And so we won each time, right? We outperformed, but I mean, barely, you know, managed to win each time. And the problem hasn't been resolved. So, you know, we need to keep on winning elections. It's very clear. I mean, obviously, but it's not solving the issues. And, you know, we just have a dysfunctional political system, and putting all our resources and winning other elections is great, but at the end of the day, we're going to have the same problems in 2 years, 4 years, and 6 years if we don't try to address some of our structural issues. And I just want to talk about that. That's really what's motivating me to run. Now, those structural issues are, we have an electoral system which rewards performance and extremism. And our rules allow typically a minority of voters in different districts, whether it's Democratic or Republican, to, you know, have a huge voice, often grown by the amount of money that's being thrown at elections today. And our district is no exception. Now, the only difference is certainly Representative Goldman is not an extremist, so, you know, whatever I say, I don't want to imply that. But he was elected by 18,000 voters. There's 700,000 residents in this district. There are 400,000 registered voters. That's 5% of the electorate. 5%. Really? That's how we choose our representatives. Additionally, he spent $7 million to get elected. The second runner-up, spent $600,000. So he spent 12 times more. So, I mean, it's that the type of democracy we want? Now, if you just look at a number of states around the country, and by the way, here in New York, Democrats control everything. We have a trifecta. We can choose to change, primary elections, the voting system. There's a lot of stuff. Independent redistricting commission. Oh yeah, independent. Remember that word? And we're not. So, a candidate who's elected the way our representative was elected is not incented to change that system. That's really why I'm running. So I ask for your support. Thank you very much. And just in time for any questions if there are any.
Great, so we'll do about 5 minutes for questions. Mary, start us off.
Thank you. I worked in Congress for 30 years, so I get it. However, on your platform, it says a dysfunctional Congress is failing to resolve our problems. Oh, I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
Right.
However, we're in the minority. We've got a speaker that is now holding up immigration, Ukrainian aid, and everything hostage. You're going to be a freshman if you even beat Mr. Goldman. What would you bring to Congress would absolutely change this dynamic of the dysfunctionality?
So I'd start by focusing on what I can do right here in New York, which is our voting system in New York. Now, if you just look at Common Cause, they give us a D ranking on the Independent, Redistricting Commission, which is sort of the base of a lot of stuff. If you look at our voting system here in New York, if you look at a primary system, only Democrats can vote in the Democratic primary, right? And then most Democrats don't vote in the primary elections. And then if you just look at our congressperson, he was elected with 26% of the vote. So we have these outdated rules. I would start by lobbying New York very hard to change those rules. Why? Because that matters who we elect. That really matters. Think of the rules that were changed in Alaska. Lisa Murkowski got elected despite voting for impeachment. Mary Peltola got elected, first Democrat in years. That's really what
You introduced me to Politics 101, which I get.
Yeah.
I said if you were elected and you were a freshman in the United States Congress, in the next session of Congress, you're talking about dysfunctionality as one of your platforms. What would you do to change it with your colleagues or with the Republicans?
So I start by getting together with New York colleagues to try to change the voting system in New York, and I try to get those same changes in every state, because those are state rules. That would be the major focus of my efforts. And then there are a number of policies. If I think of Social Security, why have we not been able to solve Social Security for 20-something years? If you look at the platform of a lot of politicians, they will say, we will only accept this or only accept that, as opposed to state Social Security. It's crazy. I mean, everyone knows what the solution is. It's not rocket science, and yet it's not happening because we're electing extremists.
We'll do another question. Julia.
Are there any decisions or votes you can point to that Dan Goldman made or voted on that you would have done differently?
Yeah, he voted against debt ceiling increase. I thought it was only extremist Republicans that were doing that, and he voted. I called the office, and they said it was on principle. That really surprised me, because if there's one thing you don't want to do is to go bankrupt as the state, and that hurts everyone in the country. So I'm sorry, but that was a grandstanding vote, and I really disapprove of it. Thanks for the question.
Great. I think we have time for one more very quick question. Ira.
I'd like to ask you a really interesting question. Due to the fact that if the country does go into debt, Congress still gets paid. Would you be willing to support legislation saying, hi there, if the rest of us don't get paid, Social Security doesn't get paid, the military doesn't get paid, then Congress doesn't get paid, because maybe then they'd solve the debt crisis?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they're not doing their job, it's crazy. Absolutely insane.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. All right. So,
He is not here yet.
okay. Great. and I just want to point out the Senate Elections Committee Chair happens to be in the room if you want to talk about Director Floor, not to put you on the spot anymore. Okay, so we're going to move on to our second candidate for the same office, New York 10. And come on up, Laura Thomas. Come on up, so you'll have the same 5 minutes. You'll do 5 minutes of Q&A. Welcome.
Thank you for giving me time tonight, everybody. I'm Laura Thomas, rhymes with Congress. Please excuse me, because as a teacher, I teach at the School of Visual Arts. I can't afford hearing aids, so when you give me your questions, please be a little loud. And if my voice gives out, please forgive me. I taught 6 hours today.
Sorry, go on, just leave the. Yeah, keep going, you're good.
Are we okay? Okay. Essentially, in a nutshell, I'm running for Congress because I want a world where my kid might give me a grandchild someday. And he's a smart person. He was a congressional intern to Bob Casey for a while. He thinks a lot, and he doesn't know if he wants to bring a child into this world. Now, if you want a little more, I'll give you a little more. I ran for county committee. I rep my block in the East 7th Street in the East Village. My issues are environmental justice, housing for all, healthcare for all, perhaps even a universal basic income. And we social democrats or Democrat socialists, whatever, we all speak about the same flavor, as you pointed out so nicely. So I could get in a little Donnybrook with you here, but why? I'll cut to the questions unless you want to hear more, and I think you'll ask me what you want to hear.
Back on then. Okay, so the floor is open for questions. Anyone, let's make sure everyone gets a chance. Okay, Joe.
Could you tell us a little about your experience with foreign policy?
With politics?
Foreign policy.
Foreign politics. I have lived abroad. I'm an English teacher by trade, and so I earned a living teaching English in China, in Germany. If I have policy experience, I don't know about it, but I know how to talk to people in a few languages, and I have some smart friends. I know who to ask, and I take advice from sensible people.
I love this idea of.
I'm actually Matt behind you, sorry. Go ahead.
You mentioned universal basic income.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
You mentioned universal basic income. If you were elected, what would you set universal basic income to for the average American?
If I were elected, what would I?
What would you set the universal basic income at? What would your goal be to set it at for the average American?
I would ask the smart person who did the math, like you've done some math, and figure it out. And it's different from place to place. So UBI is one thing in New York and it's another thing in Wyoming. But a standard of living means a roof over every head and people get some food in their bellies by the end of the day, because humans deserve that. And we're able to pay for it with our tax dollars.
Thank you.
On the side of the room? Ira?
Okay, universal health care, how are you gonna pay for it?
How do you pay for it?
Yeah.
I'm kind of
Wait,
broke.
how do you do it without raising my taxes?
I'm kind of broke. But when I go to the grocery store, I know what I've got. And if I want a lollipop, then I gotta make sure I got 55 cents I didn't spend on something else to spend that whole buck. Now, I might come off like an aging hippie, but we buy fewer bombs and we make nice with the rest of the world. Maybe people could eat. And I don't mean, hey, come take me, baby. Strong defense is clearly what we do. However, I would like to see my tax dollars go to feed a hungry child and not to develop a Titan missile that's gonna be a rusting hunk of useless junk in 30 years.
All right, last question.
Oh, yeah, just a quick story, and then.
I'm really sorry, could you be a
Oh,
little louder?
I hear you. Just a quick story. So today, I was unable to work because the project that I was put on, they hired 400 people, but the platform was only able to contain 100.
She wasn't able to work today because the platform hired 400.
Well, no, the project hired 400
The
people.
project hired 400 people.
The platform that we were supposed to work on could only have 100 at a time.
Got it. The platform that they were supposed to work on can only hold 100 at a time.
So I would love to understand a little bit more about your position on labor.
On
and
labor?
Unfair labor practices.
I ate when I was a kid because my dad was in a union.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
stopping
you
by.
all.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.